In this video tutorial, we will briefly explore the concept of suspensions in part writing. Let's first define what a suspension is. A suspension is a type of non-chord tone that occurs on a strong beat, therefore accented, and is created by prolonging a note in one chord into the following chord. Let me illustrate this further. A suspension unfolds in three distinct stages, starting with a preparation, followed by the suspension itself, and finally followed by the resolution. Notice that the suspension falls on a metrically accented beat. In terms of voice leading, one note carries over from the first chord to the next, becoming a non-chord tone. From that point, it typically resolves downward by step. Let's now look at a musical example. Suppose that we have a simple harmonic progression in F minor as shown, beginning with a tonic prolongation leading all the way to a half cadence. Once we establish the outer voice skeleton, we can manipulate the skeleton to create suspensions. So let's take a moment to consider first what the bass line for this progression would look like. You might have something that looks similar to this. Now let's take a moment to create a melody with respect to the harmonic progression with one melody note per bass note. A melody that might look something like this. Now watch what happens when we offset the soprano line from the bass line by delaying it ever so slightly. Notice that the melody notes are now dissonant, forming non-chord tones against the bass, but they soon resolve down by step. We can also shift other voices with the melody, thereby creating a double suspension. By the way, this is exactly how Johann Sebastian Bach used suspensions in one of his preludes from the Well-Tempered Clavier, Book 2. In addition to the basic suspensions that I have described, there are some common variants of suspensions that exist but are beyond the scope of this tutorial, but which I will briefly mention. As we have seen in the case of the Bach prelude, there can be double or even triple suspensions, rearticulated suspensions rather than tied, consonant suspensions that are treated as dissonant ones, suspensions that are embellished or decorated with other notes that surround it, and suspensions that sometimes resolve upward. So if you ever encounter one of these suspension variants, fear not. We have now just discussed some technical features of a suspension, but is there a narrative or expressive purpose for writing suspensions? In truth, there is no right or wrong answer to this question. For me personally, though, dissonances created by suspensions conjure up a sense of longing or yearning, and a whole succession of suspensions provokes an incessant pleading quality for me, especially in the context of the Bach prelude. To highlight these expressive qualities in performance, I would suggest emphasizing the suspended notes by playing them slightly longer, with slightly stronger dynamics, or with more intensity and tone quality, for instance using more vibrato on a stringed instrument. We have reached the end of our tutorial on suspensions in part writing, so feel free to leave any questions or comments below. Thanks for watching.